Hi, my name is Dolly Legault. I play Francine on The Walking Dead, and you are listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and we've got an intimate show today. With me is Zion Quiros. Hi, Zion.
What's up, Mark?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yeah, I was going to say I'm doing great, but maybe not. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, chilling under the sun.
That's good. That's good. So we're going to do a show today about time machines. And yes, the TARDIS is a time machine. And, we could say, and we're doing our top 5 time machines, but we're not including the TARDIS because TARDIS is automatically our number 1 time machine. So we're going with our top 5 other time machines. Right, Zion?
Yes, and this should be fun.
Yeah. But before we get into that, some sad news. Paul Darrow died last Monday, and I wanted to talk a little about him. First, he was born Paul Valentine Birkby on the 2nd of May, 1941, and like I said, died last Monday on the 3rd of June, 2019. Sad news to a lot of people who are in fandom. And I'm going to read you an obituary from the British newspaper, the Press and Journal. Blake 7-star Paul Darrow. English actor Paul Darrow, best known for his portrayal of Kerr Avon in the 70s BBC sci-fi series Blake 7, has died aged 78. Born in Surrey, Darrow studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and during this time shared a flat with fellow actors John Hurt and Ian McShane. His theatrical career began in repertoire in Cheltenham in 1962 when he toured in Chips with Everything in 1963, before spending a year at York Theatre Royal, where he became engaged to a fellow actor, Janet Lees Price, whom he married in 1966. He went on to work extensively in television, appearing as the Sheriff of Nottingham in the 1975 BBC series The Legend of Robin Hood, as Thomas Dowdy in the TV film Drake's Venture, and Mr. Tallboy in the 1973 adaptation of Dorothy L. Sayers' Murder Most Advertised. I'm sorry. However, he was best known for playing sci-fi icon Kerr Avon in Blake 7, appearing in all but one episode, the first one. When Gareth Thomas, who played Rog Blake, left after 2 years, Avon became the main character. Darrow considered Avon to be a cross between Steve McQueen and Elvis Presley, with a touch of Richard Nixon thrown in, and his performance made the character hugely popular with viewers. He also did a variety of voiceover work, narrating the audiobook of Terry Nation's children's story, Rebecca's World, Journey to the Forbidden Planet, and appearing in numerous video games. In later life, Darrow and Lee Price resided in Billingshurst in West Sussex until her death in 2012. 2 years later, Darrow suffered his own decline in health, with complications leading to the amputations of his legs. He died on the morning of June 3rd. Okay, so that's the obituary from the newspaper, the Press and Journal. But, I love Blake 7. Blake 7 is a great show. It was like the sister show of Doctor Who. A lot of people from Doctor Who worked on the show. It was a space opera
Mm-hmm.
in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was just it was a great show. It was kind of like Star Trek, but the Federation was bad, and the main characters were the rebels against the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was, and the rebellion, the main characters were all a bunch of thieves, smugglers, and except for Raj Blake, who was just a revolutionary. And it was a great show. But I know, and I know he was also on Doctor Who twice, wasn't he?
Twice. I know Time Lash, but
Okay.
not the other one.
All right. He played Captain Hawkins in the serial Doctor Who and the Silurians with John Pertwee back in
Oh.
1970. He played a military personnel who was not really a nice guy, but he was doing his job and fighting against the Silurians, and it was actually, he did a good job. It was a great job. But yeah, you mentioned Time Lash, where he played Tecker. That was back in 1985 with Colin Baker, and you have your opinions on that, don't you?
Yeah, I try my hardest not to acknowledge Time Lash's existence. I try so hard, but it's in the same realm as Kill the Moon for me. I try to not think about it by any means.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was kind of cool that they brought the H.G. Wells character in on the story, but at the same time, there was no real reason to do so. It was just, and the story was pretty bad. I mean, it was
Yes.
pretty bad.
Ironically, the part that I remember the most has to do with Paul Darrow.
Okay.
And it was when he got turned to dust by the time acceleration beam.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. Like, that's one thing about this show that I always like, is that they find the most creative ways and always a different way to kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, I always found it amazing that he was in Time Lapse with Colin Baker, because on Blake 7 there was an episode where Colin Baker played a over-the-top megalomaniac bad guy who was playing at camp, and Time Lash is pretty much camp. So it's like it's kind of like they turn about fair play on the two shows.
Oh wow! Now I have more reasons to actually watch Blake 7.
You should watch Blake 7. It was a great show. Paul Darrow was amazing as Avon. The other actors were great. And you don't, going back to the TV series, they haven't released it, I don't think, in the U.S. maybe it's on DVD, I don't know. But you can get it from England and around the world. But they really haven't released it here. But you can get it on Big Finish. They brought Blake 7 back on Big Finish, and Paul Darrow came back to play Avon. He's been in it, and this has been going on for 10, 15 years. They've been doing Blake 7. And, he's really good in that too. And the cool, and one interesting thing, they're doing a trilogy box set right now. They're in the middle of one. And the first one came out. The second one is coming out soon. And luckily, Paul Darrow recorded all his parts.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to come out posthumously in the second half. Now, the third part, they have to restructure because he's not going to be in it anymore. They're going to have to find a reason why Avon's not on the story. But the fact that he's got still something coming out is really cool.
Indeed.
Yeah. He's also written several books, Blake 7 books, actually. Back in 1989, and I had this book at the first printing, Avon, A Terrible Aspect. It was a novel about Avon's father and Avon's early life. Then he wrote for an anthology called Blake 7 Heroes for Big Finish back in 2017. His story was called Rockstar. I wonder who they're talking about. And he also did three books called. It was the Lucifer trilogy. There was Lucifer, Revelations, and I forgot the name of the other book. But they pick up right after the TV series ended. And since you haven't seen the TV series, I'm not going to spoil how it ended. But it ended in a way that most TV series don't end. Uh,
Hmm.
he also wrote an autobiography called "You're Him, Aren't You?" because people always came up to him, seeing him, and not really knowing, hey, "You're him, aren't you? You're Avon." And so he wrote his book. And Big Finish in 2016 did an audio book where he read the book, and I have that, and it's an amazing book. Avon's
Oh, that's
voice, Paul
nice.
Darrow's voice is so amazing, not like mine is today with my cold. Uh, but he just does it, and he talks about his life. He actually does an episode guide of the series of Lake Seven in the middle of his book, telling interesting things about it, and then he goes back and talks about his later life. The Big Finish books and the audiobook are still available to buy on Big Finish. So I mean, Paul Darrow will live on, and yeah, it sucks that he died, but and the amputation thing,
Yeah,
I've seen him in his wheelchair, and I didn't realize it was amputation. That, to me, when I read about that, I was like, oh my God, that's horrible.
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, that's how life works. That's how time works. And time. Well, time machines work with time. So why don't we get on with our top five time machine show? I'm going to let you start. We've got
Ooh.
about uh, 13 minutes left in this segment, but we could go over into the second segment, so you don't have to rush it. And let's hear, and we're not including the TARDIS. The TARDIS and Sid Rats do not count in your top five list. Doctor Who, because it is our number one, and it would be kind of superfluous to give a TARDIS as our top time machine. So I will let you go first.
Okay, so my my list is
Go from
structured.
five. Go from five to one.
Yes, so
All
my
right.
list is structured off of two things: how how well it works as a time machine and the luxury of it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start off with my honorable mention and say the Bill and Ted booth.
Okay, that's your honorable mention. Okay, that's interesting. We'll come. Tell me a little about why it's your honorable mention, and then we're going to come back to it when it gets to my list. But go ahead, go.
It's an honorable mention because it was inspired by the TARDIS, and yes, it gets to where it needs to be, and yes, they brought back Napoleon and whatnot, but is all in all a phone booth. There's no room. It's arguably, in my opinion, the worst way to travel through time,
All
but
right,
it's still a rad one.
I'll let Iris Waldheim know that because she's in that bus that's smaller on the inside than it is on the outside, kind of like the phone booth. Uh, yeah, I mean, but I mean, sticking gum to help keep it working.
Oh my god.
That's great. I love that. I love that, and I will. I'm going to spoil already. It's in my top five.
Oh, okay.
It's in my top five, and there's a reason for it. But we'll get to that. All right. So Bill and Ted, there is your honorable mention. Your list is going to be good. If that's your honorable mention, you're going to have a good list.
Yes, I think that's what I think I have.
Okay. So what's your number five?
And number five is the time displacement equipment, or as I call it, the Terminator disco ball of time machine.
Okay.
And I choose that one because it does its purpose exactly what it's meant for, to get to where you want and back, but it's not meant for humans. That that's the whole thing around it. Like the whole time, the time machine was meant for the Terminators to go and kill back John Connor.
Right.
So once you put that into the equation, having no clothes and going through naked, and since the Terminator can't feel pain, is pretty
Right.
much a bare bones of what the whole point of Skynet is. It's just to get the job done and do it.
But humans have traveled through it.
Yes, and it sucks for them. Like once you look at it from a human perspective, like it's pretty much like Jack's Time Watch, or the whatever, I forgot the name of it. What was
Uh,
Jack's time watch, time cop? I forgot the
Time
name of
cop.
him.
The
No,
no.
Jack Harkness. His
Yeah, Jack Harkness. Yes. Oh, you're
what was
talking
the
Doctor Who. You're bringing Doctor Who in this. All right, all right, all right.
no
Yeah, but
the
you
Terminator effect is like I forgot the name of his
the
time machine
vortex
thing.
manipulator.
There we go.
Yeah, you're talking about the vortex manipulator. Okay.
They're
And you know
similar
what?
in terms of
Actually, that could have counted in your top five because that's not a TARDIS.
ooh
That could have counted in your top five. Just to let you know. Uh, I
yeah,
I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that.
but yeah,
But
like the two are similar. Where like for humans is a very jolting experience. Is a
yeah,
very rough and violent way to time travel.
yes, it
But
is.
but once you like look at the disco ball as as a means of as a Terminator only experience, it works perfectly.
Right. All
That's my
right, no, that makes sense. I mean, it was built for for the Terminators. They don't want they're trying to kill all the humans. So why should it work for the humans? Why should it be comfortable for the humans? It was never meant to be used by humans. So
right.
I see your point. Okay, well,
Four
four.
is the cosmic treadmill.
Aha, the Flash.
Yes.
Yes. Oh
And
yeah.
and I love the cosmic treadmill because so many stories that I love have to do with it. But the problem is that only people that are super fast can use this treadmill. So it's is it works in the context of the story because of course the Flash is the fastest man alive and everything. But like if anyone just wanted to use the cosmic treadmill outside of like maybe Superman or something.
Well, see, yeah, I was going to ask that because the cosmic treadmill is basically used by people who have their power from the Speed Force. But you would think that Superman could use. I mean, Superman can go through time anyway
Yeah.
without it, but he could probably use the cosmic treadmill. Has he used it?
Has he?
I don't know.
I'm not that well versed in Superman, and I don't really remember him ever using the cosmic treadmill.
And the cosmic treadmill is not just for time travel, it's also for jumping to other alternate Earths. Because the first time the cosmic treadmill was used, the Flash met Jay Garrick on Earth 2.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not completely a time machine, but
Wait,
yeah,
wait, wait,
it works. It works as a time machine.
wait.
Yeah.
Yes. He did use it when he used the treadmill to try and go back to Krypton.
Oh, that makes sense because he wouldn't have had powers and yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
this was
okay.
super recent, like the 1900, the 19, I think it was in 990s of the Action Comics.
Uh-huh.
It's super recent, but that's the only time that I can think of.
Right. All right.
But now I'm gonna take a break and let you jump
Oh,
in.
you're gonna let me jump in. We're gonna take turns.
Yes.
All right. All right. So let me let me just go here. We're gonna go with my honorable mention, And my honorable mention, and this is a tough one, because I was going to say the Cosmic Treadmill, but I don't want to. I'm going to say the hot tub. I haven't seen the movies, but I hear it's cool.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen the movies, but I hear it's super cool and it works well. And so I think a time traveling hot tub is a perfect device for a comedy time travel machine. I think that I just think it works. It's the funniest idea that I've ever heard in terms of a time travel machine. My number 5, which is also funny, the Wayback Machine.
Oh,
Rocky and Bullwinkle, Mr. Peabody and Sherman on the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Mr. Peabody, the super genius dog, and his pet human boy, Sherman. They travel to see important events in history. They fix them. They went to see the charge of the Light Brigade during the Crimean War in 1854. Where else are you going to get that? And the Wayback Machine website, there's a Wayback Machine website on the internet, is Wayback spelled Wayback on Google. You can Google Wayback Machine to see how a website looks like back in earlier times. But the Wayback Machine, which was WABAC, and don't ask me what the acronym stands for because I don't remember. So it's an homage to it, and I just thought it was cool, and the talking dog, the genius, and the Sherman going into a little, door into a box and come out the other side, and they're in history, and it's kind of like a TARDIS, but it's not a TARDIS. It's not a TARDIS, but it's kind of like a TARDIS.
Did you see the movie that came out?
Which movie?
Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Oh no, I haven't yet, but I do.
It's actually really good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually good. They changed how the Wayback Machine looks. It's now like a red egg type of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, then that sucks. I like the original Wayback Machine. I like the original Wayback Machine. But I like hot tubs too. So what do I know? Okay. I'm going to go with my number 4 now. The map.
Map?
You don't remember the map.
Where's the map from?
Bandits.
Time Bandits.
Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits. The map. And I loved it because it was kind of, the time travel was kind of like the TV show Voyager, where when you time travel, then you fall from a great height to the land. So, it's kind of like the map and Void and the TV series Voyagers. I kind of give the same time travel kudos to, and that's my 4. But Time Bandits was great. David Warner, Sean Connery, Warwick Davis. It was just incredible. It was an incredible movie, and just having a map to map out where the time stream went and using that as your time travel device. Great idea.
Yeah, I've always heard of Time Bandits, and I've never actually looked into it yet.
You must. It's Terry Gilliam from Monty Python directed it. It is an incredible movie. Like I said, Sean Connery's in it. It's a British movie, but it came out. It came out in America, and it did so amazingly well. It is one of the classic gem cult films out there. So I give the map my number 4 time travel device. And on that note, we've got into our honorable mention, our 5, our 4. So we both have to give our top 3 time machines, not including the TARDIS. We'll be right back here on Mark Who 42 on Odyssey Radio.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
Odyssey.
My God, it's full of stars.
You're now listening to Mark Who 42 from the WHOniverse and beyond.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42 here on Odyssey Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with me, we've got Zion Quiros. Hey, Zion, welcome back from the break.
Hey.
So, today's episode, we talked, had a little talk about Paul Darrow, who died last week, and that's kind of sad. He's Blake Seven, Kerr Avon, and he's been on Doctor Who twice. But today's main topic, and that we're going to continue, is our top 5 time machines. And we're not including the TARDIS, because that would blow the scale completely off, because that's our number 1 time machine.
Forever.
So forever. So yeah, so we're going time machines that are not the TARDIS, our top 5. We've given our honorable mentions, we've given our number 5 and number 4, and now we're going to our top 3 of our favorite time machines. And I am going to let, again, Zion go with number 3.
Okay. Number 3 is not really a time machine, but once you think about it, it is a time machine in technicalities, and it's the Klingon bird of prey from Star Trek 4.
You got it, Star Trek 4.
Yes.
And they've done it on the TV series, original series, too. They've used slingshot effect as a time machine, too. The Enterprise has done it as well. And I congratulate you for using that one. That was my number 6. So
that's number 6,
and I couldn't use it. So go ahead, go for it.
Okay, so first of all, I do not like Star Trek 4. I don't.
No.
No, I really don't like having a alien craft that's about to destroy Earth looking for whales just didn't mess with me.
Well,
but
they were going mainstream. They were trying to go mainstream. They were trying to bring people in, and you know what? It worked. That made a lot of money for Paramount. That brought people who were not Star Trek fans in to see Star Trek. So that movie, whether you liked it or not, was one of the most successful Star Trek movies they ever made.
Yes. And it deserves it, to be honest, because that soundtrack is really good.
Oh yeah.
But so now it's on there because I personally like the idea of Star Trek's time travel. When I originally saw it with that episode where they took the Air Force pilot from a starfighter and tried to take him back. Mm-hmm. But through half that episode, I was like, wow, this is a really smart way of doing time travel. And then they use the same way to go front in time and to go back in time the same way. Yeah. And that confused the living hell out of me and threw it right out the window. But who is going to complain when you can do both in a starship?
Yeah. The Gary Seven story also, they went back through time using the slingshot effects.
Yes.
And they kind of made it like that's one of our normal missions is to go back through time. Which it wasn't, but they kind of were doing. They were like, "Oh, this is a normal mission, going back to see how the Russians and the Americans were doing."
Okay, so now
a history lesson.
Now I have a question. Now, since I'm a bit versed in Star Trek, now I'm almost done with the Next Generation, and I do not want to finish it because I love this show to death.
Okay.
But now I have a question. So I remember in the Star Trek movies in 2009, as the Kelvin universe is tied with the Prime universe.
Yes.
And they mentioned the destruction of Romulus. So now I have a question: that why don't they just use the time travel methods because they're obviously tested and proven to go back and prevent the destruction of Romulus?
Because then the Picard series that they're doing on CBS All Access wouldn't make sense.
Yes, you're right.
They have to have Romulus gone. It had to get destroyed. So the Kelvin universe helped the Prime universe
A whole ton.
in the whole time. Yeah. Yeah. The Kelvin universe wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
It
It
wasn't
honestly
that
wasn't.
bad. I totally understood the reason for the the split in history, and it was cool that it was Chris Helmsworth. But
And I'm gonna be honest with you. The first Star Trek movie, I feel like has the best warp speed out of all of the Star Trek movies.
yes, yeah.
It's super violent, super fast. That's how it's supposed to look in my eyes. But now back on track.
Yeah, let's go back to the Bird of Prey or the yeah.
Even though it's not Time Machine, but in overall design, I just love the Klingon Bird of Prey, and it's being a time machine in general. It just makes it just one of my favorite things to want to travel in time in. Given that I would probably want to travel in the Enterprise, but we're sticking with the Klingon.
Well,
Klingon Bird
but
of
you
Prey.
know what? The Bird of Prey is smaller and sleeker in design and better suited for the slingshot effect than the
Also,
Enterprise.
it's time to cloak.
But the Enterprise could have broken up the way it's designed, doing that slingshot effect.
Yes,
So
I
we're
think it
lucky it
almost
didn't.
has every time.
Yeah, but the Bird of Prey definitely more suited for that.
Okay, now, number 2 is the Wayback Machine.
Oh, so you've got the Wayback Machine too. Cool.
Yes, and it's in there because honestly, there's only one true fault in it, and that is that whenever it goes back in time, it alters the people and the time frame it's in. I remember that, but now, overall, it's very luxurious. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. And if you look at it in terms of its creator, a talking dog, and being a size, is literally the perfect mode of time transportation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, if you ever went back in time, you can't help but change things.
Right.
And it was on the part of the pet Sherman that things that did change actually continued to work in the correct way so that time did not change in the future. So Sherman was very important to that show. Yes, Mr. Peabody got you there, but getting you there changes history. Sherman usually was the one who, let's make things that are supposed to happen, and they happened.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but they also changed the design. I think
in the movie, yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, it looks more like a red egg, and it still has the same the same uses and whatnot. It's still a time machine, still somewhat changes the path and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about that movie that I really picked up on was that a good part of it felt a lot like Doctor Who. To be honest.
I have to see it now.
There was this one point where the Wayback Machine got troubled by a black hole in time, so they had to land in the Trojan era.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that sounds something exactly like the Doctor would say. But in all, in terms of design and everything, it's very simple design. Of course, back in the cartoon, it was just a door. Hint, hint, TARDIS. Ha ha ha. But overall, it's in my opinion the third best mode of time travel.
Right.
And now number 1. Of course.
No. You're not giving number 1.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I would like to give number 3 and 2 of me. You gave 3 and 2. Number 1 is the big ending, so we're gonna.
I hope that I hope that we have the same number 1, but I also hope that we don't.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
I don't think we do. My number 3 is because I love Jules Verne. I mean, sorry, H.G. Wells. I love Jules Verne too, but I love
Yeah.
H.G. Wells. So I have to go with the Time Machine from that based on the H.G. Wells story.
The original.
Not just the original, but also Time After Time.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to go with both because it's really this. It may look a little different, but it's really the same machine. It's the same contraption. You know, I thought that. I mean, it looks beautiful. It has. You can go forward. You can go back in time. The stories that they told were both incredible, both the Time After Time with Jack the Ripper and the Time Machine. But I just thought the Victorian era Time Machine was just
beautiful.
beautiful. It was beautiful. And you have to I had to put that on my top 5 list because, I mean, it's functional, it's beautiful, and there are no other words. I love H.G. Wells. I couldn't not give H.G. Wells my kudos, and I put him in his 3. I kind of would have liked to put him higher, but I have ones I like better. And we were talking earlier about one, and I haven't mentioned that yet. And I'm still not going to mention it. That's how I know we don't have the same number 1.
Okay.
I'm going with the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Screw Avengers Endgame. The DeLorean, Back to the Future, that's time travel. That's time travel. That's the way the law works in time travel. DeLorean, the car was a dud, a piece of crap. Nothing. They made a piece of crap car turn. Well, I mean, it was a good car, but it needs repairs a lot and stuff. But and they didn't make it. And it was expensive. But they made a crap car into the most powerful machine out there. I mean, really, and I'm coughing. I'm just so, so excited about this. The DeLorean of the trilogy was amazing, and I will give a little push to the train at the end of Back to the Future 3 because it's based on the same design.
Okay.
But I love the fact you have to go 88 miles an hour to breach the time barrier because that means you have to speed, meaning you have to break the law. And why wouldn't you want to? I like breaking the law if I get to time travel because of it. I think that's the best way. They have speed limit 75. Well, I'm not caring about the 75 because I want to go to the future. So I'm going to go 88 miles an hour. And, it started out needing plutonium to work, and then Doc Brown made it work on garbage. That's an improvement.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
I mean, yes, I totally got the plutonium on, when he first invents the car, but keep on designing it to make it safer and work better. Keep improving it. And that's what he did. And that's where the train came because he kept improving it. I think that the DeLorean. I have a friend, Dan Harris, who runs a Sci-Fi Sea Cruise and does did a lot of conventions back in the 70s and 80s that I used to go to, and we're good friends. He has a DeLorean. He's made videos of DeLoreans. They've used it in photo shoots. There was a Playboy shoot with his car.
And he did one with the Miami Marlins too.
Yeah. So I mean, the DeLorean, for such a outdated, who cares car anymore, it's still in the limelight because of Back to the Future. So I do give my number 2 to the DeLorean.
Okay.
All right. Now we're up to our number 1. Well, our number 1 is really the TARDIS, but not counting that, number 1.
Number 1 for me It's
Go
a
for
DeLorean. Yeah, I can't get enough of this damn car. I love it so much. Stainless steel, beautiful, the gold wing doors, and on top of all of it, it travels in time. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
guys, it's too much here. And come on, everything about it is aesthetically pleasing. The back thruster looking things, the wheels, the sound it makes, all the way down to the out of time license plate. Everything
yeah.
about it is great. Also, I have to give credit where credit's due. Doc Brown deserves this credit. So a lot of people love saying that the DeLorean shouldn't work because time because space is always moving and whatnot, and
Right.
and if you like tried and plopped back right from the same spot in 1959, you would just end up in space, and Earth would probably be some relative position away from that.
Yes, yeah,
But the
and that's true. That's
but the
true. That
fact
that
that
is a physicist's dream, a theory that yeah, time. If you do time travel without space travel, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but so now I have to give it to Doc Brown to figuring that out 100%.
Well, also, if you think about it, you're driving, you're moving through space while you're time traveling in the
100%.
car. So that takes care of that anomaly.
Also makes sense of why when it comes out it is always cold.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now, like, just the mode of time travel is just everything about it is just beautiful. Like the aesthetic number of 88, the sparks with the flaming wheels after it time travels. It's just the best way that was described was in the movie. If I'm gonna time travel, why not do it in style? And that's easily the most stylish way of time travel, at least in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But now, like of course, with first movie being that it needed the plutonium, it wasn't the best mode of time travel. But with the Mr. Fusion, it and it flying, it's easily up there.
Yeah, I mean, you could order the engine on late night TV now. Uh, you want your DeLorean to go through time? Oh, buy Mr. Garbage Man. Mr. Garbage Man will fit into your DeLorean and send you through time. It, it, Doc Brown is a genius. Doc Brown is a genius. Uh, I wish I could invent a time machine as well as Doc Brown.
Every time I love Back to the Future so much, I do not own the movies.
You don't own them. Oh, so see, you have to own. You have to own
I
You have to own the Blu-ray trilogy set with all the extras. You have to. That's important.
If I
You
buy
must do
this,
that.
I promise you, I will burn that movie out.
Well,
I
you
love that movie
burn out the
so
extras
much.
too because you will learn a lot.
That's true.
The extras are incredible on that Blu-ray trilogy. All right. So
What's your number one?
My number one, well, we kind of gave it away. It's the phone booth from Bill and Ted. And there's a reason for it. Doctor Who was canceled.
Yes.
And Bill and Ted came out. And originally, when it came out, I was like, rip-off! Total 100% rip-off! But because it was a comedy, okay, I can allow a ripoff. I can allow it to be a parody. I can go for this. Rufus, George Carlin, gives them a time machine that looks, and then they meet themselves in a later time when in front of the 7-Eleven or whatever it was, and a second phone booth comes on, the same phone booth at a different time, and they're able to interact, and it turned from being, I'm going to hate this movie because they're ripping off Doctor Who, to this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and this is the greatest time machine I've ever wanted. Because, you know, you can fix it with chewing gum. I said it already. You can, you can, yeah, I mean, it can break easily, but you can fix it. And all you have to do is to go somewhere in time. You're not like the TARDIS where you have to do all the controls. You just look in a phone book. You see what, the Middle Ages are here. You dial the phone number, and you're there. Oh, cool!
It is, though.
You dial the phone number. That's the easiest time travel machine. It's not, I was talking about the H.G. Wells and how efficient it was because you use the levers to go forward or backwards. But you can't exactly go where you want. You have to keep watching the date on the chronometer to know where you're going, to know where you are. And that only takes you in time, in relative place on the same planet on Earth. But you could go anywhere and anytime in Bill and Ted's Police Box. So I mean, there was no Doctor Who on TV, so this was the closest I was getting to Doctor Who, and I loved it.
That's fair.
I couldn't have asked for a better movie at the time it came out. I couldn't ask for a better movie. And now they're doing another one. They're working on it now.
They are?
Yeah, they are. Number 3 is coming out. It's basically they haven't become what they were supposed to become yet. Saving the Earth and the universe and guiding it, and they have to see what's going wrong, and fix it so that the Wild Stallions definitely is the saviors, because history isn't completely where it should be when it opened in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the final part of the trilogy. They're working on it, and they are older. And Keanu Reeves, no matter how much of an action star he is, John Wick and all that stuff, he is a very funny guy. And Alex Winters, very funny guy. I'm going to hate the fact that George Carlin isn't in it. No Rufus, because he's not alive anymore, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't wait for the new Bill and Ted movie, and it's going to have the police box again, and not the police box, the phone booth. I say the police box because my number 1 is a TARDIS. All right, the number 1 is a TARDIS. All right, there you go.
Everyone's in.
There we go.
Will they have a release date for it?
No, because they're just working. I think it's gonna be 21. I think it's gonna be 21. I don't know. There are some other time travel machines we haven't mentioned.
Yes.
You remember the movie Time Cop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the time sled, the rocket sled.
Yes, the rocket sled. I forgot about that.
Yeah, rocket sled. That would have been if there were some that were not in my list, that would have been in there. I even like the Time Cop TV series. I'm one of the only ones in the world who like the Time Cop TV series. Then in Harry Potter the Prisoner of Azkaban, there was the Time Turner.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know about that. The Island.
From what, Lost?
Yeah, that was time travel.
Oh, yes.
There was some time travel involved in that. How about Men in Black 3? There was a time jump device.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's easily the scariest way of time travel.
Yeah, definitely.
And had to jump off the Empire State Building.
Yeah. That's what you had to do, and it worked. Well, kind of like in Shazam, where he jumps off the building and says Shazam, and then turns into Shazam and doesn't fall and flies. There was a movie called Primer, and I haven't seen it, but there's a time machine in it that doesn't have a name, but it can be called The Box. and you get ill from the effects of it, so it's not really a great time machine, why it's not on my list at all. In Donnie Darko. Do you remember the movie Donnie Darko, The Vortex?
Yes.
Time machine. Flight of the Navigator, the Tremaxian drone ship.
Mm-hmm.
And this should have been, and really now that I think about it, this should have been my honorable mention. The time machine that got them to the 60s in Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me. That should have been in there somewhere, but I did not put that in there. I did not put that in there. Don't behave. So there are plenty of time machines out there. Do you remember any other time machines that you would have, if you had room to put in, that we haven't mentioned?
Have you seen the movie Project Almanac?
Yes. Oh, okay.
There was the time machine backpacks.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think of some others. I know I'm missing some stuff from Marvel. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. Marvel had some, but that's more comics, and yes, we did include the Flash, but the Flash treadmill is, the in the TV show The Flash, they have that tube that they go through to go through time, and they have the vortex that Vibe had to get you to other Earths and other times. Ooh. And they have the time ship from the Legion of Superheroes. So, there are a lot of time ships. Okay, folks. We talked about our favorite time machines, and the TARDIS really is our number one. But that's all the time we have for today's show. Join us next week here on Mark Who 42, here on Odyssey Radio. You will love it. We will love it. We've got Crystal Moore and Christopher Phillips from Doctor Who Velocity. Until next time, bye. Mark Who 42 has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Trish Fryer, Eduardo M. Fryer, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Quiros. Mark Who 42 has been edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten. The theme music is by Sam Beckwith. Mark Who 42 is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten 2019. This is Odyssey Radio.